Welcome to the German Embassy in Stockholm. Today we are exploring the many opportunities of space. 60 years after the first human spaceflight, today in 2021, space exploration is more active and promising than ever. Space science and technology are increasingly important in areas such as communication, security, and climate protection. Today, we are bringing together key players from politics, science, and business, among them 3 astronauts. They are all present here today in person and online to explore how Germany and Sweden can work together in further developing space science and technology. German and Swedish scientists have a long tradition of working closely together in this area, for example, at the Space Center S-Range in the very north of Sweden. Today, we want to find out where the priorities of this collaboration should lie in the future.
I'm very glad to welcome ministers, distinguished guests, and of course, friends of space here with me. We are here in the Swedish format of 8. We don't wear masks, as you see, because everybody is either immune, vaccinated or tested just before the meeting, so we are safe. And we want to do as much as possible to advance space cooperation between Germany, Sweden and Europe. So we will have a little film afterwards with your comments, also the online comments, and image films of the companies or the space agencies and others involved, to give also an insight to the broader public and distribute it via your own channels and social media channels to raise the awareness how important space technology is, not only for our economy in the future, for our environment and for security. And I'm happy because we invented, in a way, this meeting together. My colleague, the ambassador to Berlin, to Germany, Per Teresen, is online with us. And we thought about very important new issues coming up between our 2 countries, and this is space, because Sweden has a unique position in the north, with Kiruna being here already 50 years of cooperation, and on an area which is as big as Denmark. You can do some testing and you have all the facilities there and the cooperation links. So that's what we will talk about. But let me first give my colleague, Per Teresen, the word to greet you, because we do this together, because we do it here in Sweden, but also in Germany, and we are both at your side. Please, Per.
I'm very pleased to see that so many has chosen to join us for this first meeting on German-Swedish space cooperation. Personally, I see a huge potential for tighter cooperation. There simply seems to be a perfect match between the actors in Germany and Sweden, who are complementing each other. So it should really be a win-win for all involved, whether it be the regions, academia, or the companies. I also believe there is a need for Europe and the European Union to step up its effort in and around space. And I'm therefore very pleased to note the joint application for smart specialization sent in from Norrbotten, Västra Götaland, Bremen, Bavaria, and Baden-Württemberg. So let us all keep our fingers crossed that the Commission finds this as interesting as we do. What we hope for today, as you said, Anna, is not only a confirmation of ongoing cooperation, but hopefully new ideas for concrete projects and deepened partnerships between the different actors. And I believe it's important we focus on the whole value chain, including downstream and data centers, where Norrbotten, of course, has unique expertise and CO2 neutral and cheap energy. So that should be a no-brainer. We at the embassy in Berlin have agreed with Ambassador Prince and our colleagues in Stockholm to keep focusing on space cooperation and to plan follow-up activities, of course taking into account any results of this first meeting. For my part, I look forward to exciting and concrete discussions. I want to thank you all again for joining us, and back to you, Anna.
Thank you very much, Per. And what we will do next, according to our agenda, is give the word to the ministers, because we need the backing of the government if it comes to more spending for infrastructure and building it up. And I'm very glad that we really got so important messages, which will start now with Minister Ernkrans. So the floor is yours, Minister.
Thank you for organizing this event. Germany and Sweden are two nations who are well known within research and with advanced industries. And when it comes to space sector, we are two countries with ambitious aspirations. Space becomes more and more important for our societies, and Sweden have made some important decisions. We have decided to develop our space center Esrange to be able to launch satellites into orbit. A proposal for a modernized Swedish space law will also be presented this autumn. Building on long-standing good relations between our two countries, I see very promising conditions for increased collaboration. There are already German space companies active at Esrange, and we have a bilateral innovation partnership which can encompass space. I wish you fruitful discussions.
Your Excellency, representatives of the scientific, space and business community, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Bavarian Minister of Economic Affairs, Hubert Aiwanger, it is an honor for me to send you my best regards from Bavaria. The space industry and space research play both an important role for our economy. Bavaria is home of numerous multinational companies in this field and a vivid startup environment that has been growing dynamically over the past few years. In addition, Germany's Research Center for Aeronautics and Space, the DLR, is based in Oberpfaffenhofen near Munich. It consists of 13 scientific facilities with more than 1,800 employees. And a new faculty, the Department of Aerospace and Geodesy, has been founded by TUM, the Technical University of Munich. It is to become the largest of its kind in Europe, with 55 professorships. The state of Bavaria promotes this research with 2.9 billion euros coming from our two programs, the Bavarian High-Tech Agenda and High-Tech Agenda Plus. With this money, we also fund the development of key technologies such as aerospace, as well as quantum computing and artificial intelligence. Moreover, Bavaria is going to launch a space promotion program soon. We are about to issue a call for funding on joint space research projects this April to encourage the knowledge transfer from research to industry. It is our goal to enhance Bavaria's role as a leading aerospace site. Thus, the state government fully supports close collaboration on space projects among Germany, Sweden, and other EU partners. We endorse a cooperation among scientific institutions and universities, startups, and the industry, for instance, on technology development and testing, launch and control facilities, as well as business models along the entire value chain. I am convinced that we will all benefit from international networking and knowledge sharing. Therefore, we look very much forward to working together with you so that we can develop and implement a strong space partnership. As you can see, this meeting is a great chance to further strengthen space technology and, of course, our excellent Bavarian-Swedish relationship altogether. Thank you.
Excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen, the space sector is characterized by international cooperation and exchange. In Baden-Württemberg, we are proud to be a strong location with an international network for space industry and research, which helps us, for example, to better understand climate change. Our scientific collaboration with the Swedish Space Corporation makes an important contribution in this field. The common vision is to use balloon-based telescopes to take Earth observations. Earth observations will help us to promote eco-friendly urban development and mobility and to foster the sustainable use of natural resources, for example in agriculture, water and energy. I believe that cooperation in the space sector between Sweden, Germany and Baden-Württemberg has a huge potential for the future. And I wish you all an interesting and productive exchange.
Sincere Ambassador Dr. Prince, Minister Akrons, Ambassador Turensen, colleagues and friends from Sweden and Germany, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to congratulate on this initiative and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you here. Bremen, which itself called the City of Space, with its space industry and research institutions, has been working with Swedish partners in space for a long time, both in science and in business. Some good examples, among many others, are collaborations in the Ariane program, as well as the launches of research rockets or the common work in human spaceflight and satellite programs. I see a lot of potential in bringing especially small and medium enterprises and startups together and benefit from their innovation, power and speed. I am therefore all the more pleased about this event, and I very much hope that it can send a further signal of our continued close cooperation, especially concerning greater visibility and perception to the European Union. I think we hope all together next time I can speak to you live, and I wish you a very successful event.
Thank you very much. This ends the official statement of the ministers. But we also have Professor Kai-Uwe Schrögel from the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy, Germany. He will speak to us now live. Thank you for joining us. And I have to say, I'm really so surprised and stunned to have outstanding participation here. Also with former astronauts. 60 years after the first man in space, we have an astronaut sitting here. We have Thomas Reiter in Germany joining. We have Professor Walter. So there are lots of experts. But now over to you, Mr. Schrögel, Professor Kai-Uwe Schrögel, Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy, and also working for DLR. Floor is yours.
It is a wonderful opportunity to celebrate and to highlight the long-standing bilateral cooperation between Sweden and Germany in space, but it is also an opportunity to highlight the close coordination amongst our countries on the European level. Space is indeed already an element of our bilateral innovation partnership. And I should also mention that the broad policy-based understanding of how Europe in space, be it ESA, be it the European Union in its efforts, in its related efforts, should be shaped. Now, for our cooperation in space, we have to notice a number of levels. The first certainly is the governmental level, where we have an agreement, a formal agreement on Kiruna, and I can say I had the pleasure already to be there to participate in a campaign of Rexus, and this was a fantastic experience, and I'm very much impressed by the installations there and the knowledge which is present and the perspectives for that.
We also have the cooperation, the close cooperation on the agency level, and I have seen on your right-hand side the chair of the Swedish Space Agency, Anna Rathsman, who is currently brilliantly chairing the ESA Council, and we are extremely pleased to have a very close cooperation and coordination with her also in this respect. The other levels are certainly the cooperation amongst the research establishments and academia, and you have managed to have a number of outstanding representatives there from DLR, from the universities, and I'm very pleased to see so many familiar faces who have already achieved such a lot in furthering the bilateral cooperation. And lastly, I should mention the industry level, where we are getting closer and closer, not only through OHB, but also through a lot of cooperative partners on the B2B level into a mode where this field is particularly promising in view of the new space era, which we all are actually cherishing. Now, let me end with a few words on the potential also of the cooperation, of the bilateral cooperation, and also the cooperation on the European level. We had a very close coordination with Sweden when we held the EU Council presidency. I would like to thank the Swedish embassy in Berlin, where we had a number of meetings organized by Sweden, comprising also other Nordic representatives, which was extremely useful, and where I would like to take this opportunity to thank you very, very warmly, Mr. Ambassador, and your staff. We also have a lot of links, and I see at your left-hand side, Christa Fuglsang, who was a presenter only 2 weeks ago in a hearing we held on space traffic management, providing a Swedish but also an astronaut perspective. Now, let me end with thanking you again, both of you ambassadors, for the organization of this meeting, but even more so for furthering and providing the opportunity through workshops and through associated activities also on the regional level. And we saw that by the welcome addresses by the representatives of the German Länder, that the potential of the various levels in Swedish-German cooperation can develop and will develop in a very fruitful and positive way. Thank you very much indeed.
So this ends the introductory statements, and we are all curious to learn what's new in the field and how the future would look like. And those of you who haven't been to Kiruna, I really recommend later, when we have our film ready, to look at the image film where you see the landscape, where you see the facilities of all films included, which will give you a broader insight and hopefully attract you to come here, travel and join hands. So what I would like to do now is start with a first round of the participants, where I would like to ask you to give a brief comment statement on what you expect of the future cooperation, where you would see some emphasis or some developments which are interesting. And I would like to start with Professor Walter and Professor Schlechtrim to give us an idea about the projects, and then go around with all those presents. And then later I would like to have a second round, which we will not film, where we have an open discussion, maybe also about problems. So let's get started. Professor Walter, may I ask you to take the floor?
I have the mandate from the Office of Prime Minister in order to speak to you what the Bavarian state is currently doing in supporting space business and funding. And also I have the mandate of a group of space companies here in the Munich area to talk to you about what they're interested in. So let me start. First, there was a government declaration which actually started everything here in Bavaria. I have a slide here showing you that our Prime Minister Söder announced on April 18 in 2018 that he would like to make a space flight, commercial space flight, but space flight is also in general a very important part of research in Bavaria. So he called that the Bavaria Space Program, and it had 3 parts. So he announced 3 parts. First one was called Bavaria 1, which is a commercial space technology funding program, and I'll tell you more in a minute about that. Then he announced a new aerospace faculty at the Technical University at Munich. Actually, it is to me to set up this new aerospace faculty. I'll tell you, it's a lot of work, and this is my main work currently in setting this up. And the third one is actually Hyperloop, which is not space. It's a very special thing. Maybe you have heard about Hyperloop. It's a SpaceX, actually Elon Musk project for a very fast connection between underground or overground connection with the speed of sound between different countries. Let me tell a bit more about the Bavaria 1. Here you see the first draft of what kind of areas should be funded. I'm sorry, this is in German, but this is the original draft, which shows you what the Bavarian State Ministry of Economy, Energy and Technology had in their mind. Actually, a couple of days ago, and you see it here on April 7, here they showed now the funding program for space for the commercial companies. So the call for proposals currently is out, and the call is that the companies should propose technologies, space technologies, to be funded by the Bavarian state. Here you see the topics, what the call is about. It's about satellite technology, new carrier systems, in particular mini launchers, space application and services, security and sustainability, space networking and connectivity, and actually also exploration technology. I don't want to get into more details. It just shows you that it's actually all topics of space technology. The basic framework, so to say, is that what we call Space Valley in the Munich area. So we have actually 3 locations of space. So this is, let me switch to a different pointer. So you see this is Munich, the Munich city. North of the city we have Garching, where I'm currently locating at. Here is the current location of the faculty, of the new faculty. It shall switch or move to Ottobrunn. Maybe you've heard about this. And the reason is about a couple of centuries ago, the aerospace companies were located here, and Mr. Söder wants to have this area, the Ottobrunn area, to reactivate as an aerospace area. So Airbus, EABG, so many space companies are already here, and he wants to move the new aerospace faculty also to Ottobrunn. And we have a location here in Oberpfaffenhofen. We have airstrip here in Oberpfaffenhofen. This is why we have a couple of aeronautical companies here, and also the TU Munich, the aeronautics of TU Munich will move to Oberpfaffenhofen. So we have a triangle with the TU Munich, I would say the technology center. We will have the more space-oriented part of TU Munich and the space companies here and the more aeronautical and the research of the TU Munich here in Oberpfaffenhofen. Here you see the establishment of the new aerospace and geodesy faculty. Actually, we also included geodesy because they have a lot of common with aerospace. It was established in 2019, and this is a vision. So we will set up in Ottobrunn a totally new faculty, quite a big one. We expect about 4,000 students to be there. We will have new buildings, and this is the anticipation of this new faculty in Ottobrunn. Our mission is, it's called Mission Earth. You see it here in German. So we want to attract many new students to Bavaria, to Ottobrunn, in order to study aerospace and geodesy. Here you see the academic courses. We started in the winter semester 2019-2020. It just shows you that we actually cover all topics of aeronautics, space research, and geodesy. So you will find here any topic. And this is the important point. We want to cover really every topic of new aerospace and geodesy. And on the left side, you will see the more details of this research. We currently have, or we had 18 professorships in 2019. We will grow, and this is a plan until 2026, to 56 professorships only in aerospace and geodesy. We today have about 25 professorships. So this will shows you that the aerospace faculty will be not only the biggest aerospace faculty in Europe, but except from the Beijing University, will be the biggest faculty worldwide. And these are, in addition, the research profiles, and this also shows you the topics of the research we will cover in this new faculty.
We also have participants from Luleå, I think, from Luleå University, Professor Laufer. But of course, this is well taken care of, and thank you so much. We now have Professor Schlechtrim with his presentation, and afterwards the other interventions, they will be shorter. It is just the two inputs of what's new as projects, which are a bit longer. Please, Professor Schlechtrim.
hello, dear colleagues and friends from DLR Lampertshausen and the University of Stuttgart. Many thanks, Mrs. Prinz, for really organizing this event. I really would have liked to see you all in Stockholm. Well, let me take the opportunity to give you some news from Baden-Württemberg. In February, the upper stage of the Ariane 6 arrived here at our premises, and we are working hard with our colleagues from Ariane Group to do the first firing test in July. Greetings to Joachim Andersen from GKN, to Trollhättan. We count on you that the turbines for the Vinci engine will work fine. Maybe you stop by and have a look then at the complete upper stage. On top of the workload from, let us call it, the old space business, we are trying our best to help supporting German startups in their plans to reach orbit. They are all enthusiastic and deserve support in Germany and in Sweden. Now let me switch my role from the director of the DLR Institute of Space Propulsion in Lampertshausen to my professor role at the University of Stuttgart, Germany's biggest university for space applications. Many thanks to Thomas Kalinski and the whole DLR agency in Bonn, Space Agency, for setting up the so-called Stern project, student experimental rockets. And of course, thanks to Sweden and S-Range in Kiruna for supporting all of these student groups. Our first student group from Stuttgart, High End, have now started their own company after they have reached a world altitude record in S-Range, Sweden. So we are really grateful for the collaboration which we had already. Now the second group in the so-called Stern 2 program is developing systems at the moment which are supposed to fly in Kiruna. And maybe their products make it into the orbit at some point in time. On top of all of the space-related topics, we have received serious funding from our Baden-Württemberg government to implement and support new hydrogen systems, which are seen as the major puzzle stone to make the energy transition possible. Mr. Stegmann, many thanks for all the funding. I invite you to come to Lampertshausen soon to have a look on your investments. Dear ambassadors, dear all, we, DLR Lampertshausen and the University of Stuttgart, would like to join forces with you, not only in space technology, but in hydrogen technology as well. I hope to see all of you in Lampertshausen soon. All the best for you, and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you. We promise to come. And we have invited also two startups today to get to know a bit their concerns and their wishes. This is Josef Fleischmann from ESA Aerospace and Jörn Spormann from Rocket Factory, Augsburg. So we will see a bit later. So now the floor is open for a bit shorter intervention so that everybody has a chance to speak, please. I would like to start with Anna Ratzmann, Director, Swedish National Space Agency. The floor is yours.
Nattlysande moln. De högst belägna molnen som kan ses på natten. Det är ett fenomen som förekommer i en ganska outforskad del av atmosfären som kallas mesosfären. Det här, det är Mats. Mats är en satellit som ska skickas upp för att observera de nattlysande molnen och andra ljusfenomen och med hjälp av dem studera vågor och rörelsemönster i atmosfären. Mats kommer att ligga i omloppsbana runt jorden på 600 kilometers höjd. och ombord finns instrument som analyserar mesosfären på höjder mellan 80 och 100 kilometer ovanför jordytan. Huvudinstrumentet på MATS kallas Limbi-instrumentet. Det består av flera speglar som fokuserar och delar upp det svaga skenet från mesosfären i olika våglängder. Det uppdelade ljuset träffar sedan ett antal sensorer som registrerar atmosfärens sammansättning. Sensorerna kan även avläsa tredimensionella strukturer i lufthavet. Den data som MATS samlar in under sin resa runt jorden sätts ihop till en komplett 3D-modell av mesosfären, där vågor och strukturer kan studeras i detalj. Tillsammans med information från andra satelliter som analyserar andra delar av atmosfären får vi nytt underlag för att förstå vad som sker på dessa höga höjder och hur atmosfärens övre lager växelverkar med väder och vind närmare jorden. Det blir en viktig pusselbit för att förstå storskaliga fenomen när det gäller vårt klimat. MATS är Sveriges 7:e forskningssatellit och i framtiden finns planer på att skicka upp fler satelliter med olika instrument. Vi gör det här för att öka kunskapen om vad som sker på vår jord, i vår atmosfär och i rymden runt omkring oss. Vill du veta mer? Gå in på Rymdstyrelsens webbplats.
Thank you so much for that, Anna, and I really appreciate that you have arranged this seminar. And as I said, I'm the head of the Swedish National Space Agency. We have very good cooperation and had for many years with the DLR in a lot of different levels. And our responsibility as an agency is to really support, all the space activities in Sweden. And of course, if you look at what we have in Sweden, S-range is extremely important. And as we already many have talked about, we have a long, very good history together, a very successful history when we have bilaterals and trilaterals with Germany. And I can start with my first satellite I built in the beginning of the 90s, Freya. That was really successful, and one of the main contributors to that, except for Sweden, was Germany. So that was a very good start. And I can also mention that it's quite interesting because we have several very important scientists in Sweden, which is German. And one of them is Jörg Gumbel, and he's very important for science from the sounding rockets and balloons from S-range. But also he's the PI for the next small Swedish satellite called MATS. So that is quite important. I would like to mention that. And I'm really impressed of what is happening now within space and also with the collaboration with Germany in a lot of different matters. We have the activities in the test bed at S-range, for example, but also the plans for future launches. And personally, I've worked with that for several years. I'm so happy that we as an agency has the possibility to support SSC in building up this infrastructure. And I really hope to see a German micro-launcher be launched from there in the future. So we really are trying to work with that. And also, as you see in the future, there are several other areas. And I think you have to combine what we do in Europe, and there I really hope that ESA and EU can work together in a very constructive way so make Europe strong, because we need that if we look at the rest of the world. But also that we have a lot more, even more bilateral collaboration, Sweden and Germany.
Professor Christa Vogelsang, head of KTH Space Center, and he also represents Saab. Please.
Thank you, Mrs. Ambassador, and thank you, Mr. Ambassador in Berlin for arranging this event. And space is for everyone, and it's immense and big, so we absolutely need to work together, to cooperate, to do the best out of it. And it's the infrastructure space gives to us living on Earth, which leads to a better life for all of us. And I think that gets better if you can work together. On the other hand, you also know that progress is normally faster if we have some competition, fair and free competition. So we need to balance these things, and therefore I'm very glad that we have startup companies here, because I think that often has the quickest route to innovative ideas. So yeah, I'm here with two hats. I'm a professor at KTH, and that's an example of I have a long tradition of working with Germany in space since '92 when I started at the European Astronaut Center, and have worked a lot with Thomas Reiter. And but when I became a professor, I was going to make a course on human spaceflight, and then I contacted Professor Ulrich Walter, another friend and colleague, and went to TUM to get some ideas, and got actually most inspired by a student satellite project they had there, which we have now implemented at KTH, and it's a very inspirational project for students. And I always like to emphasize how much importance inspiration has from space. And it inspires to so many things, which is good for us, and inspires to technical development. So put on a little bit of my Saab hat, and again, by the way, that shows the importance of academia and industry cooperation, which also is important for driving all society further. And Saab didn't do much in space for some years, but then as a major defense and security company, they realized the importance of how space was growing. And now they are looking into what to do there to understand it better. And unfortunately, the CEO, Mikael Johansson, he could not attend himself, but he sends his best regards. And Saab has some very interesting and good technologies related to space, in particular sensors for radars, which is a very important component when we have to build our space tracking management system, the European part of it. And there are companies in Germany definitely to collaborate with. And Saab has a part in Germany, MEDA, which are collaborating there with OHB, building a satellite. I think it's for the German security, SIGINT. And Saab also is very experienced in command and control system, and now implementing data from satellites into this. That kind of commands and systems and AI systems would also fit very well. You need to have it actually when it comes to space situation awareness and space tracking management, because it's not enough we just observe, we have to take decisions quickly also. Well, I shouldn't continue too much, but I look forward, because I think it's important to collaboration more between Sweden and Germany related to space.
Thank you so much. And as you mentioned your colleague already, Thomas Reiter, I would like to turn over to him online.
I'm very glad to give a little view from ESA's perspective to this collaboration, which I think is very important. And that is the case. I would like to pick up on some thoughts that were mentioned already by my predecessors during the keynotes. the importance of space for the functioning of our modern economies is undeniable, and it is steadily increasing. It has been mentioned the immense economic thrust we are currently experiencing with a new space economy. If we are looking at this development, still maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the number of startups in the US was still leading as compared worldwide. Now, the rest of the world is picking up, and specifically Europe is picking up, and that is a very good sign. So any activity that increases the collaboration on bilateral, on multilateral level in this field is, of course, very welcome. And you know that ESA is very much supporting this kind of collaboration, not only as including the member states in this organization, but also on this bilateral or multilateral level. Now, having briefly talked about the importance of space, I think it's clear that we are relying on this fortune of data that is coming from space. And Ambassador Tørensen has mentioned the downstream aspect, this huge data stream that is delivered that we are using every day in almost normal day life is important, but that requires that we get into space and that we are communicating with space. And in this respect, S-Range, of course, plays a very, very important role for both. With the miniaturization of satellites, of course, we do not need anymore just big launchers. We can launch with small micro launchers, get satellites into orbit in a much more flexible way. So this trend is just perfect for this time we are living in. And the same is true, of course, for communication. You know that we are using also some of our ground stations in S-Range 50-meter antennas to communicate with Earth observation satellites in this field. And we are also looking into further developments in this with additional antenna, most likely. Now, having mentioned all the importance that this cooperation plays for us, that space plays for us, I would like to pick up on a thought that my dear colleague Christa Fuglsang has just brought up. We need to put also a bit more emphasis on the safety aspect. And your Minister Erkrans has mentioned that in her initial statement. As we are relying much more on space and as we see more and more satellites launched, the situation up there is getting really serious. Most of you know this, but for those who might not be familiar with this every day, we are getting at our satellite control center about 1,000 or more than 1,000 collision data messages per day for the 11 satellites we are currently controlling, and the situation is deteriorating. In the last year alone, more than 1,200 satellites were launched, and that trend will increase. So it's clear that we need to pull together, and this gives huge opportunities also for this cooperation between Sweden and Germany. It gives a huge range of cooperation in the European context, and I know that my dear colleague Kai-Uwe Schrogel, we are fully in line in this respect. And I think apart from the aspects of using space, of expanding our capabilities there, it's also that we need to be aware of the security aspect, the safety aspect in space, as this is getting really serious. And with that, I would like to end and hand over back to you, Madam Ambassador. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I hope we will see us in person. You see, we are already safe here, tested or immune, and maybe end of May the situation has changed. And also, I would like to say that I hope that Ambassador Tørensen will be able to come in person. Today he has sent his deputy, Mr. Friesel, and we also have the honorary consul from Munich here, Mr. Fontin, Dr. Fontin, who is representing Sweden in Munich. But I think the security aspect you mentioned, I'm sure OHB will follow up on this. But as you mentioned, S-Range first, may I first please turn over to Stefan Gardefort, President and CEO of the Swedish Space Corporation. The floor is yours.
On planet Earth, we expect most things to work out. We rely on proper information to reach us, and we trust that science will expand our knowledge and help us deal with any challenges that arise. Not much of this would be possible if it weren't for space. Or rather, the ways we benefit from space. Since the mid-20th century, we've expanded our human activities beyond the surface of our planet. Today, thousands of satellites orbit the Earth, and new ones are launched every year to the benefit of mankind and Earth. Now, this doesn't happen by itself. SSC is a key player in this progress. As a leading global provider of advanced space services with more than 50 years of experience. We partner with institutional and commercial customers worldwide. Our company mission is to help Earth benefit from space, focusing on 3 core areas. Today, satellites are a major part of the global infrastructure and a prerequisite for our modern society. SSC has one of the world's largest commercial global ground station networks, covering virtually all orbits and all frequency bands. We provide our customers with fast, reliable, and secure access to their satellites and facilitate communications between the spacecraft, Earth, and all the way to the customer. This way, we support our customers' satellite missions in various fields, such as telecommunications, navigation, environmental monitoring, and space exploration. Space also constitutes a valuable environment for scientists of many disciplines. SSC helps our customers to access space. We launch rockets and stratospheric balloons, assisting scientists across the globe to perform experiments in microgravity, as well as conducting atmospheric and astronomy research. Our launch services are carried out at Esrange in the very north of Sweden, mainland Europe's largest space center. We provide services for all phases of a space mission, ranging from design and engineering at the beginning of a project to launch and immediate land recovery, enabling quick access to the results of our customers' experiments. Esrange is also rapidly becoming a leading test range and technology demonstration facility for space technology, launch vehicles, and spacecraft. This way, we contribute to research which leads to a variety of innovations crucial for mankind, like improved medical treatments, pollution control, reduced carbon emissions, solar cells, and other energy production techniques. The institutional and commercial space markets are growing rapidly. To keep up with the pace of change, the industry needs access to engineering and spacecraft operation services. SSC provides a wide range of engineering services, bringing our experience and know-how to help support our customers' missions. We offer expertise at every stage of a project, from specific services for special mission needs to complete teams for 24/7 spacecraft operations. This way, we contribute to our customers' success in institutional space programs, such as the ESA Aeolus program, which teaches us more about the behavior of winds on Earth, and the EU Copernicus program, through which satellites deliver vital imagery and sensor data used by a variety of areas, such as the agricultural and forestry industries, and by institutes and government agencies for disaster and humanitarian relief operations. The ways in which Earth benefits from space are endless. Our access to space increases every day as satellites become smaller and launching technologies improve. And also while institutions, space agencies, and private enterprises continue to collaborate and contribute. This development is crucial for future human progress and societal growth, which includes improving worldwide internet connections and energy-saving production techniques, and, not least, combating climate change. In the long run, space helps us gain knowledge about our planet and ourselves in order to make our life on Earth sustainable and prosperous for us and for future generations. In this global progress, SSC remains at the forefront, closely collaborating with our customers and ever improving and expanding the many ways in which Earth benefits from space.
Dear colleagues and friends, it's a pleasure to be here. First, I have to say that the theme for this seminar, Connecting Science and Business, is spot on what is happening and what needs to be emphasized even more. I think I'm happy to say and note that I think the world is becoming increasingly aware about the fact that space is probably one of the single most important enablers for this planet to manage all the challenges that we are facing, which we are all very well aware about. But it's also equally important to note that it's an enabler to even drive societal development further. Simply, as Christer Fuglesang put it, making life on this planet a better life to live, and also making sure that the availability of those services and that information is shared in a better way across the world. And there are certainly many missions today, not in the least of the field of communication, that is working on that. So space is also all about collaboration, and this has been so for a long time. And I think it has already been mentioned a number of areas where Sweden and Germany has been collaborating fruitfully for five decades. We've heard about Stern, we've heard about Rexus, we have Texas and so forth. And this will certainly continue, but we are seeing increasingly a growing introduction of commercial startups, the new space phenomena. And this is something that I think we in Europe need to be aware of, that this is an area which is not only collaborative, it's also very competitive. So in the context of the strategic importance that the larger part of the world is now viewing and the space capabilities, not only in science and in commercial business, but also in the context of the geopolitical development, security matters, and so forth. This is an area which is becoming highly competitive. As Professor Reiter mentioned, Europe has certainly been lagging behind. I'm happy to note that over the last 3, 4, 5 years, Europe has been catching up substantially. And in this area of collaboration, I'm happy to see Josef here representing ESAR, and we have Rocket Factory Augsburg, and Professor Schlecht mentioned High Impulse. There are many new areas of collaboration that we are seeing. So within this framework, me representing the Swedish Space Corporation, I'm really happy to be able to contribute to this development, primarily through the availability of the Esrange Space Center, which I consistently claim is probably the world's most versatile space center, with its long history of suborbital rockets, but now growingly providing
really critical capabilities for the emerging new space actors in the commercial field, not the least within testing of rocket motors, testing of rocket stages, eventually also launching of satellites into space. This is a capability that I'm certain can bring a lot of value to the collaboration between Sweden and Germany, but also in Europe as a whole. It has also been mentioned the fact that, of course, with new micro-launchers, miniaturization, more satellites, the traffic congestion in space will increase. So I also would like to emphasize the need for us as two nations and our industries to collaborate within space traffic management. I believe that also SSC, Swedish Space Corporation as a company, has an opportunity to contribute there, not only within Sweden, but also utilizing our global network of ground stations, and this is an area in which we are moving. We are already starting to work together with Germany in this field and establishing capabilities globally to be able to contribute to this further. So again, connecting science and business, that's what it's all about. And I certainly hope that seminars like this and the collegial relationships that we foster with that is going to help us drive this process even further and faster.
Thank you very much. And also for all who listen, have a look at this fantastic film you handed in for this event, showing the facility and also showing your worldwide network, which of course gives us a great chance to contribute and to observe too. Thanks a lot. And also Minister Ernkrans at the beginning, she mentioned that there will be a space law. This is of course very advantageous if you look at other countries who don't have it, to cooperate on a safe legal basis. But now over to Bremen, to OHB.
Welcome to OHB Sweden. We are a provider of complete space missions, satellites, as well as spacecraft subsystems. OHB Sweden has acquired a first-class reputation offering reliable and innovative space solutions to our customers. We are one of Europe's leading propulsion suppliers. Our knowledge and experience covers the complete range of different propulsion systems. Another key competence area is developing satellite attitude control systems as well as guidance, navigation, and control. In our clean room, we build and integrate our satellite systems and perform careful testing to secure the functionality and quality of the hardware. As a quality certified company, we pride ourselves on the high quality of our work and products. At OHB Sweden, we are working on exciting and innovative technologies, and we often explore new terrain in our projects. We are building our success on the passion and exceptional talent of our employees, our extensive knowledge base, and a vision to contribute to the beneficial use of space. We are an international company with many different nationalities among us. Their competence and experience creates a dynamic work environment. OHB Sweden, taking on challenges in space.
So a bit of history, OHB Sweden was before part of the Swedish Space Corporation until 2011. And then it has been taken over by OHB, and now we are based close to Stockholm. So we grew up thanks to all the national projects. So you mentioned Freya. Then there was a series of projects of collaboration with Germany, like also Prisma, where we had the opportunity to develop a series of expertise, not only on small sat development, but also all what is about steering of satellites, I mean what we call IOCS, and to develop a few technologies which could be very important, I think, for the future. We are benefiting from this small sat trends. As you may know, we have been selected a few weeks ago, where we signed a contract mid of February, I think, mid of January, for the Arctic weather sat constellation, thanks to the support of DLR and the Swedish Space Agency. And there, it's because there's this trend also in ESA to implement more and more small satellites. So we are looking forward to also be able to implement the constellation. But looking at this, we are also concerned, as mentioned by many participants, by the trend in space. You have all these mega constellations. We have all this space debris. And I think Professor Reiter mentioned it, all this potential collision avoidance. And we see really a need to proactively address this. So I think there's one aspect is to remove all this space debris, and the technology we developed with Prisma, this rendezvous, and it was 2 satellites which came up to 2 meters close to each other in space with the cooperation with DLR. And this type of technology could be useful to remove space debris, but we see also the need to prevent this. And there are a series of activities which could be possible in autonomous collision avoidance. You have this today in the, for the aircraft industry, and I think we will need certainly this in the space. If you follow also some articles in the last weeks, there was NASA having an agreement with Starlink, because Starlink is a mega constellation, and they agreed that Starlink should avoid the NASA scientific satellites. There are currently issues between OneWeb and Starlink, because OneWeb satellites have to cross the Starlink orbits. And so this is, I think, really a mega trend in space. If we want to secure the access to space, to secure the safety of space operations, we absolutely need to be active. And there we would really much welcome further to be supported, of course, by the agencies, but also in collaboration with academy and research centers, because we need to develop many technologies. It's around artificial intelligence. It's around also how the satellites can autonomously take operations. And it's about getting data about all the situation in space. So I think that's a lot of challenges. But there's a series of initiatives started by ESA, but I think we should reinforce also at national level between Germany and Sweden to develop the right technology and implement them very quickly. So we are looking forward. I mean, we have a long history of cooperation between Germany and Sweden. As you mentioned, OHB is a German company. Here we are a Swedish company. Myself, I'm German, French, not Swedish, but so now in Sweden. So yes, I think there's a lot of links between the countries.
Thank you very much. Yes, we have to be truly European. No single country can face all the challenges alone, and we want to be strong in Europe. Thank you for your comment. And we have now also from RUAG, a very important partner in Sweden. We have here with us Anders Larsson, RUAG Space Agent AG Sweden. The floor is yours.
It's a basic human instinct to explore, to search for answers, to learn more about our environment and ourselves. It was this that drove us into space. Now, our reasons for being in space are far greater than exploration alone. RUAG Space Sweden is contributing to the establishment of Earth's extended infrastructure, tools used for research which have huge benefits for lives on Earth.
Space is part of our everyday lives, more than most people realize. Many of the benefits of space we take for granted today, such as weather forecasts, GPS navigation, internet access, live TV. And thousands of lives are saved on Earth every year thanks to climate satellites.
The ability of space technologies really gives a unique platform to monitor Earth, to explore the universe, and to communicate all over the globe. It also stretches our borders in research and development and the possibilities with information collected and broadcasted from space.
We are proud of our long and entrusted relationship with the European Space Agency. Our products have been used on all European launches since 1979. We have developed the brain, the onboard computer, to many of ESA's satellite missions, and we will have an important role in JUICE, which will search for life on Jupiter's icy moons.
We have customers coming here from all over the world. One example is NASA, that comes here and trusts our outstanding capability in our hardware supply, where we supply hardware to their weather satellites. your mission lifetime is typically 10 years, which is a very long time, and you cannot go and repair your hardware in space. In order to accomplish all this, we designed what is very difficult to design and almost impossible to build. And that, together with the success rate, makes us very unique.
RUAG Space has a reputation of outstanding reliability in a highly competitive market. We deliver on time and on budget, and our products work. They have proven to survive under very harsh space conditions.
In space, we can get knowledge for decision influencing our lives and our planning. We can bring equality to the access of information, bring people and nations together, and get answers to our future questions.
The future inventions and benefits of space technology are impossible to predict. Who knows what's in the minds of future generations? All we can say for sure is that RUAG Space will play a key role in that future, a future which will impact us all. We will be relied upon for our innovative solutions, and we are ready for that.
RUAG has been active in space from Sweden since more than 45 years now. And as said before, space is truly an arena for cooperation. For us, the European initiatives is really the basis for our company. That gives us the opportunity to be part of interesting programs, but it also is the platform for stepping outside and be part of the commercial market, which is super important. What we see now is a transition period. There's a lot of interest in space, and there is also challenges put on us as companies, transforming from what we call then the old space into new space. That means that we are looking into artificial intelligence. We are discussing and studying how we should make space-based cloud solutions, etc. And here, we as a company in our relatively small size cannot carry all this knowledge and build that. So here the cooperation with the academia is truly important. German companies and RUAG has cooperated for many years, and in particular we and OHB has a very close partnership. There is a lot of opportunities to work together within the European framework. It is, however, sometimes challenging. You should come up with a consortium, you should apply for the programs, and you should also coordinate with authorities, both on the national interest and on the financial side. This could be, for sure it can be managed, but here we have challenges to do this in a smooth and effective way. On the question how we can increase the interest in space, I think it's super important for us to start to talk with the words used for the real problems. We are sometimes so interested in space that we talk about technical opportunities and solutions that space can offer, but we don't bring up the words and the formulation used by politicians, for example. So I think we have to be better to explain how we can be part of the solution. And by doing that, I think the interest will explode even more.
And we have also with us Joachim Andersson, GKN Aerospace. The floor is yours, Joachim.
I thought I'd take the opportunity to talk a little bit more than from a different angle, since many of you have already talked about the importance of space as overall importance of the world and the linkage of the space industry, which I truly agree on. As you heard before, I mean, GKN has been part of the space program in Europe since it started, and supporting with propulsion systems. I would also like to throw in another side of it. What I see as a leader of GKN Aerospace Propulsion is big portion of our business is the civil aviation, the defense aviation, right, and also the space. The combination of them and the space important from technology, always pushing the limits and the boundaries is really important. And that's where I think what we talk about also in science and business in space comes together. So I mentioned 3 areas that I would like you to think about, and some of them have been mentioned. One is hydrogen. So the hydrogen agenda, I think, is going to be very important for many reasons. Not only we're on the front edge of that in the propulsion of space already since years, but the importance of taking that to a broader scale into civil aviation and thereby sustainable aviation, as you hear about a lot, is going to be really important. And to connect that and talk about space, that context, what space can learn, every other dimension is important. Another one is heat management. So if you work in propulsion in space, it's getting hot, really hot. And by doing that, you do get know-how on what more to do about heat management, which is actually getting a more and more serious problem in both defense propulsions and civil propulsions, when you need more and more electricity out of the systems. And the third one is additive manufacturing. I think all of you have talked or heard about that word as well. And space is, I would say, is the forefront of that technology-wise as well, and we can continue to use that sentence of in the space technology because of the importance of efficiency in design solutions, but also low volume and competitiveness, like Stefan talked about the competitive nature on the business. So I thought I'll take that opportunity when I heard all of our speech to talk that angle in, where I think there's a lot of opportunities for us to continue to do collaboration in Europe with the base of space.
So yes, as my predecessors did, I would like to thank you, Madam Ambassador Dr. Prinz and Ambassador Torresen, for organizing this networking meeting. And of course, I'm glad to be part of it because I see it as a great opportunity to reinforce the already close cooperation between Swedish and German partners in space science and in space business. We are talking about both branches of space, and I think it's good to have them in total. As said before, my name is Thomas Galinski, and I'm in charge of the science and application programs in the German Space Agency within DLR, the German Aerospace Center. And today I'm not giving a more technical statement, but I would like to highlight briefly the excellent cooperation that we foster for many years with Sweden, addressing 3 specific examples. And please let me start, it's as well a political business. Let me start with our roles as, I dare to say, not really unimportant member states of the European Space Agency, ESA. Sweden and Germany, it has been said before, and I can only underline this, have always benefited from a very good exchange and coordination, both on working level between our delegations in all relevant ESA program boards, but as well, of course, on high level regarding the ESA Council. And I think a distinct advantage of our bilateral relations is that we share many perspectives and positions related to overall European space policy and as well its institutional setup. And it's clear this excellent cooperation and coordination in our programmatic activities towards ESA is one of the backbones of the Swedish-German space activities. And I'm glad to say that from the German point of view, the quality of this close coordination has even improved since Sweden took over the ESA Council Chair in July 2020. And it's fully clear that this will also be an important asset with regard to the preparation of the next ESA Council on ministerial level in autumn 2022. And everyone here knows that the preparation has already started. And let's say the hot phase will start this autumn. But from this rather political aspect of our cooperation, let me address the bilateral cooperation in the field of sounding rockets. Every one of you knows that Germany, as a member of EASP, the governmental agreement of the S-range for the S-range and Endurance Special Project, has been signed in 1971 between Sweden, Norway, France, Switzerland, and of course Germany. And we support the operational services of the launch sites S-range Space Center in Sweden and Endurance Space Center in Norway. The utilization of, in particular, the S-range Center in Sweden for various scientific campaigns, and we have talked about some aspect of this scientific use of S-range, dates even back to 1977. Today, for us, for Germany, S-range has become indispensable in the context of our sounding rocket program TEXUS. TEXUS, I think most of you know it, stands for Technological Experiments in Microgravity Research, and it has evolved into the longest lasting and one of the most successful programs in microgravity research in Germany, and I think even for Europe. We have seen a lot more than 50 successful flights since 1977, and so it's no wonder that we see TEXUS as a kind of workhorse for the microgravity research program. But coming from TEXUS to Rexus Bexut, it has already mentioned today. Rexus Bexus is a very sympathetic program for us because it deals with universities, it deals with students. Rexus stands for Rocket and Balloon Experiments for University Students. It was created jointly between our national space agencies in 2007. It's targeted towards university students in the fields of natural science and engineering. And the special thing on Rexus is that participants will experience in up to 1.5 years the full project life cycle of a real space experiment, from design and development to building and testing, and finally to operations and data analysis. So it's no wonder that Rexus offers an excellent education of junior scientists and engineers for the academic and as well for the industrial space sector, using Swedish and German know-how and capabilities, and it's rather important from that point of view. It has been addressed that space is becoming more and more commercial, and the word micro launcher has been used several times in the course of the meeting, and we are glad to see that German startup companies in the micro launcher domain have shown a strong interest to take more benefit from the outstanding capabilities of S-range. This involves the use of S-range with regard to the testing of rocket engines, but might also imply in the future its potential use as a launch facility for commercial micro launchers. And we, in our role as German Space Agency, we have the clear intention to support this overall spirit of entrepreneurship, and in particular, the emergence of new economic actors in Europe. So under the framework of a specific ESA program, Germany intends to foster the development of a demand-driven market for micro launchers and to encourage the purchase of commercial launch services. We have started a national micro launcher competition in order to promote and support commercial startups in the new space sector. And I'm glad to announce that the first winner of this competition will be chosen in the next few weeks. I think you will hear about this. So now time is running. I know I will come to an end, and I thank you again for giving me the opportunity to attend this meeting and to give you a brief overview on our bilateral activities with Sweden. Of course, we have additional ongoing and planned cooperation activities, for instance, in the science program or the telecommunications program, but today time is too short to mention them all. So please let me conclude with expressing on behalf of the German Space Agency that we are looking forward to continuing the excellent cooperation with our Swedish colleagues and partners in the years to come for the benefit, I think, and I'm convinced, of both of our space programs. Thank you very much.
I would also like Josef Fleischmann maybe to say a few words, because he is representing in a way a completely new branch, the startups, and he has made his way here from Munich. We met last year in Munich, now you are here in Kiruna and you are expanding.
So basically 1 year ago, we actually, thanks to Swedish Space Corporation, we could start our activities here in Sweden. Without having much of a basis here before, but actually using S-Range has been fairly the easiest way for us in Europe to move forward. So as we speak nowadays, we have about 14 employees locally. We have since a few days actually also a Swedish AB company that we own by the German company. And with that, we do actually testing and maybe in the future also launching operations out of S-Range in Sweden. So we're really looking forward to collaborations between Germany and Sweden intensified, because right now we are by, I think, 10% of the workforce a Swedish company actually already.
It shows also the potential to create jobs, and to create jobs not only in research but in production. And we all know with 5G and our industry going forward with automatization and artificial intelligence, space is it, and space security too. So I think we have touched on all the issues, and we have not touched that much on security if it comes to the military side of it, which is also very important, and the legal side. There's so many aspects which are touched in other conferences. We are here together to get to know each other better and to see how we can bring things forward.
Our vision is the future where we look after our precious planet in a much better way. We want to be instrumental in allowing large constellations of satellites that record data which we will use to simply better manage what we are doing with our home planet.
We want to revolutionize and disrupt the space transportation service market. We want to do it ultra low cost, such that everyone can go to space in the future.
If you think about internet from space, climate change and smart farming, all of these applications are done with data from space.
The engine is key, and the environment requires you to basically marry together high performance and low cost.
We go the way to not qualify specific equipments for space anymore, but rather look at components and equipments available in automotive and energy and oil industry and just use it for the launcher.
And we are putting the parts to the extreme of what they can provide.
We are the first mini launcher company to use staged combustion. It's an engine technology that is, simply put, superior in performance and efficiency. We couple this with a very low-cost industrial automotive manufacturing network.
We have gathered the best team in the world. It's really a bunch of space enthusiasts and experts which you could never find anywhere else in the world.
It doesn't feel like a company, right? Everyone is standing up in the morning and thinking, wow, I can pursue my hobby another day. It's just fantastic.
I would like to make things change with an easy mindset, despite a lot of experience.
We create a large cloud of solutions, and we focus on the most important items. We don't over-define and over-specify all the individual system boundaries. Sparse matrix engineering and agile development methods are the reason why we can do things faster and more cost efficiently.
Thank you very much for organizing the event and for inviting us also from the startup environment. That's super happy. I think in line what a lot of people have been said before, what we believe here at Rocket Factory, that this generation that we are currently handling our precious planet, that we must evolve into becoming the guardians of this planet, right? The blue planet is so precious and we need to understand it better. And to understand it better, we believe that we need to go to space, to build space infrastructure. And what we want to do at Rocket Factory is building launchers to put it up there, to enable this business and exactly to be the shovel in the gold rush and to provide transportation means to space. And what I believe is that we have beautiful projects actually between Sweden and Germany already ongoing here. We are also super happy that we were able to establish our test stand in Kiruna at S-Range Space Center. And it's really a beautiful cooperation between SSC and us. I can only say that. It's a great people. It's they share the spirit of new space, and it's really great. We couldn't have found a better place actually to be there. So all the support that you put into that place, it really turned out really well. And we are actually now, since we have been starting to build our test stand in September, now until April, we are already running the test stand, are in the middle of our first hot fire campaign of an engine. So it's really, really, really nice. Beyond that, we're actually doing more. We also have a cooperation with OHB Sweden. So on the other end of it, to the satellite customer world, we're building an orbital stage together. So half a launch and half a satellite. And that's really a super new trend. And we are at the pinnacle between Germany and Sweden to developing that. It's really great. And at the same time, OHB Sweden is also our first customer. To launch a satellite, which our launcher, we announced that 2 weeks ago at the end of March. And so we really need to have all understand that, right? Germany and Sweden and the companies within these two countries will start launching satellites together very, very, very soon. It's not a super distant future. It's a matter of 2 years. And that's really exciting to me. And I think the cooperation that we have been establishing between countries is wonderful. And we should continue to do so because there's really precious things and super beautiful business coming from that. Thank you.
Also, we have here Ole Persson from the new Center of Excellence in Space from Luleå. Actually, the North Norrbotten is, of course, very attractive. We've traveled there also to see CO2-free steel production, or we've seen Northvolt developing quite well with battery production, cheap, environmental friendly energy to store data. This is all a privilege which you have in the northern part of Sweden. So Luleå, with its outstanding university, it's also one of the European Alliance of European universities with lots of international participation. Please, the floor is yours.
I can't more than agree that Kiruna is a wonderful place. Today the sun is shining, white snow, sun is not going down anymore, or almost. So Kiruna is the place to be. Luleå University of Technology is quite a young university, even younger than me. And we've been educating students in the space business for more than 20 years now. And I'm then running what is called the Center of Excellence. And the meaning of the Center of Excellence is to be the connection between industry and academy. So I'm happily squeezed in between the researcher and the person that wants to make profit, to make sure that we speak the same language. And LTU, we have a really long and well-established ecosystems up here, from research up to taking down data and so on. And we've been working together with SSC, OHB, JKN, RUAG, and IRF for many years. And it's been really progressing over the last years. We are the largest 5-year graduate level education within space that we know of, at least in Europe. At every moment we have about 150 plus students. We have a PhD space research school together with several of the major operators in Sweden. The topics that we're working around is atmospheric science, space systems, propulsion systems, satellites, different experiments, instruments, and of course additive manufacturing. And as you mentioned, we're part of university. We're working on the S3P plans together with SSC, multiple labs for research and testing. And I have to say, as an old operations officer at SRH and also the first project manager for Red Access and Bexus programs, I have had the pleasure to work together with German operators and personnel for many years. It's always been a pleasure and always efficient. And it's even more fun or greater pleasure that we today at Space Campus here in Kiruna have 4 German employees on our staff, professors, and our chair professor, Dr. Ren Laufer. So the cooperation with Germany can't be better. Well, of course, it will always be better. That's our aim, but we're really enjoying it. Since I'm by the end of this presentation, I'll try to keep my presentation short because there's plenty more presentation. But to conclude, Kiruna is the place to be. It's just that the way it is. Welcome. Thank you.
We are at a starting point maybe of a new era in space for Europe, not only in terms of markets or technology, but also of a new common European space policy. There's many movement. EU is coming. The new ESA Director General outlined and introduced his Agenda 2025, which I think is very, very interesting and brings a lot of potential and opportunities, especially as topics are touched like the societal challenges and climate change, digitalization, connectivity, all these topics where we want to find solutions and space can contribute. The demand, especially for new small satellites, constellations, or also AI-based, artificial intelligence-based space applications is growing. Miniaturization is giving a lot of opportunities for us. And we see, besides the large space programs and large space players, also that we have a growing number of SMEs, small enterprise, startups, even students who want to build new companies, come up with new and innovative ideas. And this is, I think it's a fantastic landscape. Let me come to the topic directly. Cooperation, space, scientific and space. I mean, both Sweden and Germany have a very competent space sector, even in industry and science. There are many areas of cooperation. My Senator Christina Vogt outlined some already this morning. I would like to mention that every year teams from Bremen come to Sweden, to Kiruna, to prepare the launches of the Texas scientific missions together with colleagues from Sweden, DLR also, and ESA. And I think Christoph Vogelsang remembers quite well his stay, which I hope was excellent, in Columbus, which was also built in Bremen. And let's not forget the company corporations, OHB, and also RUAG Space delivers to Tutzam Technik in Bremen, electronical supplies. So also both in Sweden and Germany, I see a lot of more potential. There is climate change is very important and on top of the agenda in both countries. And with today's new and innovative technologies, I think Earth and climate observation with constellation of small satellites flying in low orbits seem to be, I would say, quite affordable and efficient now, and they could also provide a lot of scientific added value. The task could be to measure methane or carbon dioxide, for example. There's a need for that. Space sector in Sweden and Germany too has a lot of experience in this. Both Sweden and Germany built small satellites. In Bremen, for example, the CO2M mission of the Copernicus program is being built. So there I see a lot of potential, especially in this field. It's also good because SMEs, startups in particular, could be involved in these topics. You know, they are affordable. Bremen is a very small country. It needs to be smart. It has not the means to invest hundreds of millions in funding for this. But we have a lot of ideas and we have smart people to support. And I think the connection between women or other regions in Germany as well and Sweden in this field could be really interesting and could also be supported on national, by national or even on European level. Lastly, I mean, this is maybe a look in the future. Some may call it science fiction, and maybe it is so, but why not mentioning it? Bremen companies are working on lunar exploration and projects for that, not only on landing, but also in the ISRO study and on ESA. Sweden has a very good mining expertise, also in Kiruna. And I just read a novel, a criminal novel where Kiruna plays a role. So there was a description of how large it is under the earth, that when you go really under the earth, that you think you are in a city under the earth. And I think this expertise could also be very useful when we think about how can we extract lunar resources. Okay, this may be science fiction and maybe something for the future, but why not think about it? So thank you very much that I had the opportunity here, and thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
I would for today, because we have almost accomplished 2 hours, pass the word again to Per Thøgersen, because he mentioned at the beginning that the 3 Länder in Germany already cooperate to join hands. We have to do it. State level has to join hands, federal level, then within the European Union, the countries, and the European funding in addition. So Per, the floor is yours.
And I must say it's heartwarming to listen to you and to realize how much close cooperation we already have between our 2 countries. Ambassador Prince and I, of course, represent our respective governments. I would be curious to hear from you, either short now or via mail or so. What can the governments do? What are the prerequisites? What are the structures needed if we want to achieve even closer cooperation? And I said at the beginning, we will come back to follow-ups. If you have ideas on how to use this network, another meeting later this year, maybe on working level, we are open for everything. We really want to push this agenda further. And perhaps also just a short clarification. Minister Ernkrans mentioned we have a space law. It's kind of old, so it's now currently being modernized and to fit the future space requirements. But if you would allow me, Anna, if there are ideas, what can we as government representatives do to help you to deepen cooperation? And if you have anything on what you would like to see as a follow-up. I think we still have 8 minutes. Thank you.
Maybe I can take the word for a moment. This is Thomas Reiter. Yes, Ambassador Thøgersen, I think that's a very important point. How can higher governmental level support this developments? In this context, I would like to mention a space summit that our Director General is planning early in the coming year. The Space Summit is meant for all European countries. It will be organized together with the European Union. And as we have mentioned already today, and I think in your introductory words, you also emphasized the necessity to embrace activities on a European level. I think that would be a fantastic opportunity to not only come to a general awareness, but also to support this variety of activities that are pursued that cover really the whole spectrum of space flight, and specifically can be an excellent forum for seeing or exploring bilateral activities like it is the case today between Sweden and Germany. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reiter. Professor Walter, you have the floor.
Yes, my experience is that cooperation works much better if there is a kind of lighthouse project. So everyone sees the target, and then target this, and then cooperate. And having talked to OHB here in Munich, they have a very good proposal that is space debris removal and automatic collision avoidance, which is a very good topic. We heard this already from speakers. So I would propose two things. One is this debris, space debris and collision avoidance. And the other topic might be a little bit different and hasn't been mentioned yet. I know that in Kiruna, Sweden wants to establish a green data storage. The same thing is anticipated in Bavaria. So we think about a big data storage center for Earth observation data. And I think it would be an excellent cooperation between Kiruna and Bavaria to get these data centers together and cooperate.
You might all be aware of the fact that Norrbotten as a region is very active in attracting large corporations for data centers with some really heavy advantages. The electricity is totally CO2 free. It's very cheap, and the climate also allows you not to use too much cooling. You can only open a window. Anyone else?
Actually, the Ambassador Thoresen, we very much depend on the support of governance, especially when it comes to space. We all know that a lot of efforts are still needed to become stronger and stronger in space applications. And therefore, we need a launcher and we need the satellites and we need to download all the information which we receive from the satellites. In this context, really, we have to work together to strengthen our position worldwide. In America, a lot of things are going on, and in Europe, we really have to see that we don't feel behind. So please strengthen our collaboration, support the student groups, support the research centers, support the startup companies, and of course, do not forget that even the so-called old space companies still need permanent support to develop new products. New technologies are really on the horizon and we have to incorporate those. And here we need your help as well. Artificial intelligence, for example, will help us to become smarter and to utilize technologies which are currently being developed. And we need, of course, the collaboration with Sweden. We need the launch sites. And the existing technologies can be spread. This is an advantage which we will get from all of this support. And just one example, our engines run on hydrogen. So we have already all the needed hydrogen expertise, and it's our duty to do the technology transfer. In Lamportshausen, this is already ongoing, but it can be utilized by others, and this is what we have to offer. We have received approximately 28 million additional funding from Baden-Württemberg and EFRE Mittel, which we will spend on projects in Lamportshausen, but we are willing to share all of this expertise with you, especially the Norrbotten area. So when you can help that the transition of all of these technologies is feasible, that would help us a lot.
Excellent.
Yes, if I can add, I'm also heading the northern node of Aerospace Cluster Sweden, which is mainly aimed of connecting small and medium-sized enterprises with the larger industry. And also within our ecosystem up here, we do have the ways and means to support startups and small, medium-sized enterprises. So I'm happy to help if there's anything. And Ulf Palmes, by the way, is chairman of the board for our Center of Excellence.
Excellent. There were a few really concrete ideas, and Mr. Schlechtrim and Ulle Persson, if you need any assistance from me or the German embassy in Stockholm, of course, contact us. But it seems you are already very, very well connected. So we will, of course, discuss possible follow-ups to this activity. I believe and I hope that it's not the last time we meet in this group, and next time hopefully physically somewhere in Sweden or in Germany. There are plenty of candidates. Again, thank you everyone really for excellent contributions and for lighting up my heart to realize that we have already a lot of concrete cooperation. And I think now, Anna, it's almost time. I will let you finish this part of the meeting.
I think I would like to add one aspect, that's finance, because we have, of course, government funding, research funding, and I think private industry also will get into this, and we will see how this is organized, because they would need the help of the professors of the institutions to select between all the offer of different startups to see what is really worthwhile financing, maybe some guidance, or also just to attract their attention to this area of growth which they might see, but where they might feel still insecure because it is complicated. So we could think also about how to get the Wallenbergs or other institutions or the financing institutions on board, maybe in a kind of pitching conference or whatever this shape might be. We as diplomats maybe are not the best to counsel on that, but I just wanted to raise it at the end, that this is also maybe an area of activity. We are in contact and we will see what we do with it to continue and build it up and go into heaven and in space together. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. I hope it's as sunny as in Sweden right now. I share that Kiruna is beautiful, and as they have 1/3 of more sunlight during summer, you can intensify your life going up there in summer by 1/3. So I really recommend this, and I hope we see us live shortly, maybe end of May. I will pass over to Per for the next initiative, and I thank you all. I know you are very active. You have been so active with the National Space Agency, and all those who are sitting here, the stakeholders, they are the ones who have built up the industry. They know best, and they will counsel the young ones, the startups, to be successful too in the future. Thank you so much, everybody, and I'm also glad, as Per said, that we are all doing well and have a good cooperation built on trust. And for trust, we will also meet. We will also drink together. So have a nice time and enjoy whatever you are doing next. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.